Is Subnautica 2 in trouble? It does look like the founders of Unknown Worlds have all been pretty much fired or let go from their actual own company. A report that went out 7 hours ago is detailing a bunch of stuff to do with Cleven, the publishers and owners of Unknown Worlds and the Subnautica IP now making huge changes. Hello ratbags, it's Jade today going over this. Yeah, obviously everyone's really hyped for Subnautica 2. I am massively, and it is a little bit concerning, but should we be as worried as we think? Let's go into what we know so far. This was the press statement that just been put out earlier on today, effectively announcing a leadership change at its creative studios Unknown Worlds. Steve Papatzousis, a gaming industry veteran, has been appointed CEO of Unknown Worlds, will oversee the studio's overall management and creative direction. Previously working at Striking Distance Studios, that's another obviously Cleven company that they own. This guy's going to be replacing Ted Gill, Charlie Cleveland and Max McGuire effective immediately. While Cleven sought to keep the Unknown Worlds co-founders and original creators of the Subnautica series involved in the game's development, the company wishes them well on their next endeavours. Importantly, Cleven is confident that Papatzousis, with decades of experience behind the planning, development and production of some of the higher rated franchises, will bring energy and momentum to delivering a long anticipated Subnautica 2 experience to fans. Then it's just got more yada 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 speak. Also interesting maybe though, talking about the milestones, reviews that they're going to be looking at to make sure that quality is up to scratch, metrics and defined targets are met. Possibly hinting that they're not happy with the progress that's been made with Subnautica 2, and seemingly the new leadership fully supports this. Now, hopefully I don't think Charlie Cleveland will mind too much, but he's commented on a few videos of mine over the years, and I've had a little back and forth when he used to do a dev blog newsletter that I signed up for. And it's really interesting seeing how a game designer thinks about things. I've tried to get him to do a podcast with me in the past, and we were nearly there. But effectively, a little while ago, he did state that he was basically kind of done, at the moment at least, with gaming, and was focused more on movie production business. And that's pretty evident from checking out his own socials, where you can see talking about movies and stuff, producing, maybe financing, directing somewhat. He's been putting stuff on his own YouTube channel, so that's cool, right? I don't think Charlie really had too much to do with Below Zero, and obviously a big voice around Subnautica 1. Charlie was pretty much working almost exclusively, I do believe, on Moonbreaker. This actually came out last year in February after a little time in early access. And over time it's gained a few more players for sure, but it kind of was very niche, a turn-based skirmish game, but you could go ahead and paint your miniature figures in digital. So it was kind of cool, but I'm going to say it's probably not something that broke out into the mainstream, and maybe this is partly why Charlie's not been on board with certain things, or maybe after basically not a failure, but certainly not a huge resounding success of this, he's kind of stepped away a bit to focus on other things. Or maybe it's just a sabbatical and he was literally taking some time out and then maybe coming back to Unknown Worlds to work on whatever next project they might have. Ted Gill was pretty much more the business brains behind Unknown, according to the wiki. I couldn't really find too much about what he's actually doing and stuff, or what kind of input he has on the actual game design and things. Max McGuire, however, is the technical director for Subnautica Below Zero and one of the co-founders, obviously, so his loss would be more greatly felt. So we don't know really the ins and outs of it, but the wording from this does kind of state that it seems like they wanted the leadership to be on board still, but they wanted maybe more stricter or more kind of checks on what kind of progress they were making, and potentially they said no or didn't agree with the approach, hence why they were then removed. That's what I'm kind of reading between the lines. So is it a bad thing? Well, obviously you would normally say yes. Founders being taken away from their game is absolutely not great. But given that Unknown Worlds sold themselves basically to Cleven a good few years ago now, it's pretty much inevitable, as this generally happens. Founders of popular gaming companies often sell and then they go and forge their own new career, pretty much leaving the company they set up to make another one and make a new game. It's happened so many times, not always with huge success. Cliff Belinsky, you know who you are, but when you're offered a good amount of money, life-changing money maybe for shares and taking over the company, and you've always got this maybe big overlord overlooking you, there's always going to be a maybe hint of that you want to just kind of cash out. And again, that's all just speculation, but that's just generally the vibe I get from a lot of these things that happen. But we do know that Subnautica 2 has had new people on board. They've shown that off in some dev blogs and some articles in the past. So it does seem like Krafton just are kind of cutting out the fat. And that fat's really good since they came up with the original concept, right? You don't really want to lose these people. So what does it mean for Subnautica 2? Is it going to be a big issue? Probably not. With early access fast approaching, we're expecting maybe some sort of reveal at Gamescom. They've said and committed that it's going to be this year, and have been doing a lot more dev blogs in most recent months. I'm fully expecting it to maybe even just go boom, it's live now, go and buy it at Gamescom. The pre-production and getting everything ready for early access launch has been kind of sewn up by now. Sure, it's going to have a long path to go. It may be in early access 2-3 years potentially. But a lot of that will be based on the feedback they get from players and still following the core design that maybe some of the original founders have had a hand in, but not necessarily are going to be the people driving things forward. Or certainly not in this case for sure, since now there's someone else in charge. So I'm not going to prescribe to the fact that maybe Subnautica 2 is like dead in the water. Do you get it? It does feel like certainly some of the developers, the founders, have just been focusing on other stuff anyway. Perhaps more of a worry is who is actually taking over. Steve Producis has worked on games like Dead Space 2 and Dead Space 3, and of course Strike and Distance is the Callisto protocol. It kind of got a mixed reception for sure, and actually has only increased a little bit over time when they got some more updates. But there was trouble with this game as well. Beset by a huge amount of technical issues that maybe got resolved, but they did end up letting go a bunch of staff from this studio. Only in March this year, a bunch more people working at Strike and Distance were let go, and I do believe that was the second layoff they had. According to some reports, most of the devs were laid off, leaving Strike and Distance as just a skeleton crew. The Callisto project was basically a game very much inspired by Dead Space, but just not hitting the mark. Can't lie, it seems a bit strange to be getting someone that's only helmed basically a flop and maybe hasn't got a huge resume of other games going on at the moment in most recent times, now being in charge of a big franchise now. That's what Subnautica can be. They've got so many games that they are actually owning now, Krafton, not just PUBG. So yeah, that's probably the one thing that I'm concerned about. And something maybe even more concerning is that the CEO of Strike and Distance, not the same person that's taken over Subnautica, but obviously working in tandem with them, revealed some terrible kind of things going on around crunch. Glenn A. Schofield is a little bit contentious in some circles, talking about crunch is fine, how they're working 6 to 7 days a week, nobody's forcing us, exhaustion, tired, COVID, but we're working 12 to 15 hours a day. This is gaming, hard work, lunch, dinner, working. You do it because you love it. And it's got quite a bit of blowback from others in the gaming community. Someone from that kind of culture, is that really the best fit for Subnautica? I don't know. I guess we'll have to wait and see. I'm definitely more interested in how the game's going to be, and behind the scenes things don't really matter that much. The devs that have been basically fired are going to be okay. They've made plenty of money from the sale of the company in the first place, I'm sure. But yeah, it would be nice to see them still steering the ship. If we get any more details about this, I'll let you guys know. Until next time, ratbags, laters.